Action. Welcome, everybody. It is just a tremendous day to be gathered here at the University of Lethbridge. My name is Nathan Neudorf. I'm the MLA for Lethbridge East and the Minister of Affordability and Utilities for the Government of Alberta. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement, please. So, Oki, and welcome to the University of Lethbridge. Our university's Blackfoot name is Iniskim, meaning Sacred Buffalo Stone. The university is located in traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory, and we honor the Blackfoot people and their traditional ways of knowing and caring for this land, as well as all Indigenous peoples who have helped shape and continue to strengthen our university community. And again, thank you all for coming today. There are a tremendous number of dignitaries and special guests here today. I wish I could name them all, but I am certain to miss one or two, and I don't want to inadvertently miss anybody or skip over them. But I would like to acknowledge that there are members from the University of Alberta, members from the University of Calgary, obviously members here from the University of Lethbridge, many board members from the University Board Chair. Karen Reid is one that I would like to mention as the Vice Chair of the Board of Governors for the U of L, who's taken time to be here today. And Toby and Bernadine Boulay are also here as community representatives. I have many colleagues from the Government of Alberta that are joining me from jurisdictions all around Southern Alberta. And if you get a chance, please say hi to them. I'm very grateful that they've made the time and effort to join us here today. And with that, I will save some of my remarks for in conclusion at the very end. But I would like to bring forward a very good friend and the Minister of Advanced Education Rajan Sawhney to deliver her remarks and a very, very special and important announcement here today. Mr. Sawhney.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Neudorf. And I have to start off by saying I'm so impressed with the attendance at this announcement today. Thank you to all of you who have traveled from many, many miles away to be here today. I'm always pleased to be at the University of Lethbridge, and I'm particularly pleased to be here today. Thank you to President Jayas and the University of Lethbridge for hosting us today, and a warm welcome to my MLA colleagues, representatives from the City of Lethbridge, the University of Alberta, the University of Calgary, and Northwestern Polytechnic for this very exciting announcement. As Minister of Advanced Education, I share responsibility for the training of physicians in Alberta with the Minister of Health. Access to medical care is a critical issue for Alberta's government and all Albertans. We know that Alberta is currently dealing with a physician shortage and that the need is being felt more acutely in rural areas of our province. Right now, only 6.6% of Alberta physicians work in rural areas. In 2023, Advanced Education set out to solve this challenge. We provided a $1 million grant to a working group on rural physicians to explore the feasibility of expanding Alberta's medical training beyond the two existing Doctor of Medicine programs, one of which is at the University of Alberta and the other at the University of Calgary. The goal of the working group was simple: to help ensure that all Albertans have access to medical care close to home. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that based on the recommendations of that working group, Alberta's government is investing a total of $224.8 million to train more physicians in rural areas. Thank you. It's phenomenal news. We will do so by partnering with local post-secondary institutions and by providing key supports to encourage physicians to live and practice in rural settings. Funding by Alberta's government will enable the University of Alberta, University of Calgary, Northwestern Polytechnic, and the University of Lethbridge to develop 2 new rural medical education program training centres. The University of Alberta will partner with Northwestern Polytechnic to develop a new training centre in Grand Prairie. And the University of Calgary will partner with the University of Lethbridge to develop the other new training centre right here in Lethbridge. Both training centres will provide academic instruction with hands-on healthcare education. Students in the Doctor of Medicine program at the new training centres will learn alongside other health professionals. They will gain practical experience in the clinical component of their program by serving rural patients. Having a Doctor of Medicine program in these areas will also establish a stable rural physician workforce as they fulfill their roles as program administrators, clinical teachers, advocates, and mentors. Their presence will go a long way in attracting physicians and in supporting those physicians in their practice. By investing in these new rural medical education program training centres in Grande Prairie and Lethbridge, we are taking a very significant step in alleviating the rural physician shortage. We know that increasing medical education opportunities in rural areas is a proven means of increasing physician recruitment and retention in those areas. To provide opportunities for newcomers to unlock their potential and address a critical need in our province, the University of Alberta and the University of Calgary, with support from Alberta's government, will increase the number of residency positions for international medical graduates. Alberta is experiencing record levels of growth because this is the best province to live, work, and raise a family. When doctors bring their skills to our province, they deserve a pathway to fully contribute to the well-being of their community, including providing high-quality medical care in rural Alberta. Once the expansion is complete, more than 100 additional Alberta-trained physicians will be ready to practice annually, boosting the number of family medicine and generalist physicians in underserved parts of our province. The investment provides $43.2 million for capital funding for the new training centre here in Lethbridge and $55.6 million to support operating expenses for the training centres in both cities. This investment also includes $126 million from Alberta Health to support the overall rural physician expansion. This investment and others in Budget 2024 recognize a crucial role post-secondary institutions play in meeting the needs of our economy. Our future relies on Albertans with the skills, the knowledge, and competencies to take on the challenges we face. Our post-secondary institutions are the doorway to that future. These new training centres represent just two examples of the targeted investments we are making to increase seats in high-demand programs. Beyond the new centres in Grande Prairie and Lethbridge, we are making investments in communities throughout the province to ensure that students can learn in exceptional facilities close to home. Since 2022, we've invested more than $225 million to create over 12,500 new seats at post-secondary institutions across the province. Over 3,700 of those new seats were in healthcare-related programs. This substantial investment through Budget 2024 demonstrates our government's commitment to increasing the support for Alberta's medical schools. Together, we'll ensure that more Alberta medical students can make the most of the remarkable opportunities right here and keep Alberta moving forward. Thank you so much once again to everybody for being here, and it is now my pleasure to introduce the President of the University of Lethbridge, Dr. Jayas.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Ministers, honored guests, and my Campus Alberta colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, this is a historic day. Minister, thank you to you and your government for investing in improving the access to health care for all Albertans. The creation of two pioneering rural medical education program training centers in Alberta has been made possible through collaboration of many dedicated individuals at the University of Lethbridge, University of Calgary, University of Alberta, Northwestern Polytechnic, and enabled by the Government of Alberta. Accessing essential medical care, particularly through family physicians, is a formidable challenge for families. Many individuals in this room have worked extremely hard in attracting physicians to our region and have realized some important success because they know access to Alberta's healthcare system is necessary for individual and community health as well as Alberta's economic health. While I know this important work will continue, the creation of a rural medical education programs training center at the University of Lethbridge in partnership with the University of Calgary, will make an incredible long-term difference in increasing the number of physicians practicing outside the Alberta's major urban centers. Recruit local, train local, practice local. Investing in a program that evaluates the likelihood of a prospective student to practice in rural areas after graduation and training them in a rural context has been a successful recipe for other jurisdictions. For example, the partnership between the University of British Columbia and the University of Northern British Columbia has seen most of its medical graduates serving rural and remote communities throughout BC. Through this initiative, we know we will successfully recruit and train students and retain doctors in rural and remote communities. I would like to sincerely thank my colleagues at the University of Alberta, Northwestern Polytechnic, and particularly the University of Calgary for the collaborative work in contemplating this initiative. University of Calgary's expertise and experience, coupled with the University of Lethbridge's strength as a comprehensive research institution in a rural area, as well as the long-standing relationship it has with Southern Alberta communities, including Indigenous communities, will create pathways for excellence in healthcare education and delivery. Minister, our campus community is excited about how capital funding will transform our old neuroscience building into a teaching clinic, and our city and region have expressed enthusiastic support for the programming that will take place here. Again, thank you for the investment that will enable this. I would also like to thank the physicians in Southern Alberta and so many university supporters for their advocacy for a rural medical training program. Our institution is humbled by your support, and we are grateful for your support. In closing, let us celebrate this momentous occasion as a testament to what can be achieved when vision, collaboration, and unwavering dedication converge. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for this important event. It's my pleasure now to invite Dr. Ed Macaulay, President at the University of Calgary, a good friend and a long-time working colleague, to bring greetings on behalf of the University of Calgary.
Thank you, Digvir, and good afternoon, everybody. It is really good to be back in Lethbridge, and good to be with friends and colleagues and so many distinguished guests here today. And also for my colleagues from the University of Alberta, Lethbridge, and Northwestern Polytechnic. And it's very, very good, always good to be with Minister Sawhney, as well as Minister Neudorf for these spectacular announcements that are coming out from the provincial government to support the quality of life for Albertans. We really want to thank, on behalf of the University of Calgary, we really want to thank the Minister for an announcement today so that we can expand our medical training to meet the growing needs of Albertans, which is just what we will be able to do with this partnership. With the additional funding that is promised in this year's budget that this provides, this enables this partnership to come to real life and to fruition. And through our partnership with the University of Lethbridge, we'll be able to train more physicians in the hope that they will practice here and in other communities throughout rural Alberta. Thanks to this program, future physicians won't have to travel to Calgary or Edmonton for their training. And we know that leaves rural communities short. Currently, and people know these data, currently only 4% of students who train in big cities practice in rural communities. But if we recruit locally and train locally, we'll help to address the shortage of rural healthcare workforce, and one that's particularly important and acute in primary and generalist care. Because 75% of students actually practice close to where they train. And for 2 years, we've been working closely with Lethbridge and others in Southern Alberta, including Medicine Hat and Indigenous communities, to make this a reality. In fact, both here in Lethbridge and in Grand Prairie, this program will produce 60 to 100 medical graduates a year thanks to this expansion. And the Minister mentioned the working group, and I really want to give a big shout out to Todd Anderson and Brendel Hemmelgarn, but also all the teams at Northeast, as well as at University of Lethbridge, to actually make this partnership come to life, because it is really, really special. And of course, I want to thank our partners at the University of Lethbridge, good friends, collaborators in so many different areas, and this is really beneficial for Southern Alberta, and we want to bring this to life. And I can't emphasize how important it is that we address rural Alberta's physician shortage. And now what I'd like to do is to welcome Vanessa Sheen from Northwestern Polytechnic to the podium to say a few words.
Thanks, Ed. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start and echo my colleagues' comments. Just thank you to Minister Sawhney, Minister Neudorf, the other ministers and MLAs that are here, and distinguished guests. You know, as a former ER nurse and a healthcare educator in the North, this announcement today hits me right in my heart. Healthcare and education are the cornerstones of our communities, and so the ability to enhance both systems simultaneously is a win for all Albertans. Northwestern Polytechnic is grateful for the opportunity to work with the Government of Alberta, the University of Alberta, the University of Calgary, and the University of Lethbridge on the delivery of a transformational model for regional medical education across the province. We recognize the importance of offering responsive regional programming that enables learners to stay rooted in their communities as they expand their skill set. We're excited for the opportunities for enhanced education and enhanced healthcare services in the North as this program develops and sustains the steady pipeline of medical talent and resources in the North. Over the next few months and years, there will be much to do and much to prepare for a timely influx of dedicated medical professionals in the communities where they're needed most. But in the meantime, it truly is wonderful to be here today, surrounded by exceptional partners and fellow champions for healthcare and for education. Thank you. And it's my pleasure to introduce next Dr. Brenda Hemmelgarn, the Dean for the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry at the University of Alberta.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. And I also want to add my gratitude and thanks to Minister Sawhney, to Minister Neudorf, and to the many dignitaries who are here today, and of course, my colleagues at the post-secondary institutions who have worked so hard to make this possible. So speaking on behalf of the entire University of Alberta, the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, and our College of Health Sciences, this announcement has exciting implications for both. It'll allow us to grow our medical program as well as offer for potential future expansions for other healthcare professionals as well. And all of this is important because it will allow for integrated interdisciplinary care and true team-based care, and that's what we know our communities need and deserve. Since the fall of 2023, the University of Alberta and the University of Calgary have been phasing in additional seats in our faculties in the undergraduate medical education program as we work with our colleagues across the province to tackle the growing demands of our health system, and in particular those related to primary care. And now, with this additional funding, we can further those expansions into rural and regional parts of the province. And with the Northern Alberta Rural Medical Education Training Centre in Grand Prairie, in partnership with Northwestern Polytechnic, we can make this a reality. Importantly, we will work with communities across Alberta for clinical placements as part of the program, including Fort McMurray and Red Deer and Peace River, to name but a few. I'm so proud of the ground we've already laid in our collaboration with Northwestern Polytechnic, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to work closely with NWP President Dr. Sheen as we continue to build relationships with communities and physicians across Alberta. We have a shared commitment to the training centre, where the U of A's world-class reputation in medical education will recruit top-notch students, and we've heard this before. We'll recruit local, we'll train local, and we'll retain local to practice in the communities that deserve them most. So thank you again for joining us today to celebrate this news, and thank you for your continued support as we work together towards a more robust health system in this province. And now I'd like to welcome MLA Martin Long to the podium as well to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you to Minister Neudorf for hosting us here today in beautiful city. I'm not sure if all the smiles are over the announcement or this beautiful view that we have outside, but I'll take both. Anyway, I'm pleased to be here and to extend greetings on behalf of Health Minister Adriana LaGrange. As a rural MLA and the Parliamentary Secretary for Rural Health, I know firsthand the challenges of accessing health care in rural parts of the province. Accessing physicians in primary care settings is an issue everywhere in Alberta and across our country, but it's even worse in rural areas. Ensuring access to family physicians and addressing healthcare staffing challenges, especially in rural areas, is a priority for Alberta's government. We value physicians and the invaluable contributions they make to Albertans' health and well-being. Part of our work to address access to physicians in rural Alberta is what we're talking about here today, as we work to increase the number of physicians trained to practice in rural areas. These rural medical education program training centers are such great news. They will be regional hubs where medical students can not only complete their undergraduate education, but also go on to complete the residencies in nearby communities. These centers will help alleviate pressures on the primary health care system and provide another avenue of care for residents in Lethbridge, Grand Prairie, and surrounding communities, something that I know is very important in each of these communities and all across rural Alberta. As research shows, students who learn and train in rural healthcare settings are more likely to choose careers in rural areas. I've recently met a doctor in Edson coming out of medical school, and that's exactly why he's returning to Edson, is because that's where he was trained. These training centers will bring more physicians to rural areas of the province. I'm very excited about the positive impact these training centers are going to have. Thanks to everyone involved in this initiative. It's going to change the face of rural healthcare and give Albertans more access to the care they need in their communities, and it will help shine a light on Alberta's desire to innovate and make sure that healthcare is accessible all across our province. Thank you again for having me, and with that, I'll pass the podium back over to Minister Neudorf.
Well, I knew it. I did forget a few very important people. Northwestern Polytechnic, of course, top of the list. Thank you very much for coming here with your team and obviously your commitment to our province and rural healthcare. The City of Lethbridge and all of their members here, the town of Coaldale, and everyone else who's here from such a huge cross-section of southern Alberta and all of Alberta. Martin Long reminded me he is from the north, so I forgot them as well. But it is a good reminder, actually. There are many things in today's society that divide us, politics not least among them. But today, we have something that has really united us. It doesn't matter what your political leanings are. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what community you represent. This training facility is tremendous. And we see, as we look out amongst those who are here, a tremendous diversity of our wonderful community. And everybody who has contributed to help make this a reality. This has stretched over many years, and it will make a lasting difference for generations to come. And I couldn't be more proud of Lethbridge, I couldn't be more proud of Alberta for coming together and working together and committing to making Alberta a better place to live, work, raise a family, and get your healthcare needs taken care of. So to every single one of you, whether I was able to mention you or not, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this wonderful announcement and being such a transformative part of the future of our great province. And with that, I'll pass it over to Riley to take questions.
Thank you very much, Minister Neudorf. We are ready to begin the question and answer segment of today's announcement. Journalists will have the opportunity to ask an opening question and a follow-up question. We will start with journalists in the room before moving to the phones. Please begin by stating your name, outlet, and who your question is directed toward. Thank you. We will now take our first question from the floor.
Question for Mr. Sawhney.
Yes.
So the programs in Lethbridge and Grand Prairie, are these traditional med school programs, or are they going to be different from that in any way?
They are traditional in the sense that the credentials will come from the University of Calgary and the University of Alberta, but my understanding is that a rural admission stream is going to be developed as part of this program. So it is going to focus more on students who are living in the surrounding areas and who want to work in the surrounding areas. But the actual credential from the medical school will be from the University of Alberta and the U of C.
Thank you. And I have one question for Dr. Jayas as well. So do we know approximately when this program at the U of L is going to be operational? And I guess just given the length of a med school program, when potentially the first students could be graduating?
So the plan is to have the first cohort in 25-26, then 3-year training and 2-year residency. So in about, from today, I would say about 6 years' time, we would have a practicing doctors. But one thing to keep in mind, after the students complete their medical education and when they are in the residency program, they would be providing medical support under the supervision of the practicing doctors. So you would be adding basically 60 doctors who are in training in the rural area and in the communities. So that's a direct input into the providing the services to the communities.
Can I ask one more question for Dr. Jayas? And I believe you mentioned that they'll be using space in the old neuroscience building. Is that correct? And is that space not being used at all, or is that currently in use?
So that space was vacated when this wonderful building you see here today was completed. So the neuroscience program from that is referred to as a community wellness center. Was moved into this building, so that space was vacated and it still is available for development, and that's where the development would happen.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the floor? Seeing nobody else, we will go to the phones. Operator, please put through the first caller.
The first question is from Edith Boisvert, Radio Canada. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my questions. I have a lot of questions, actually. I would like you to explain or take us like by the hand, like a 5 years old, like where does a student in medicine will be studying in this new center? Is it when they are doing their residency? You said it will be when they're doing like 3 years prior. And we were talking about like the goal of it is to keep people in rural area. The problem is if we uproot those people and they have to come for a couple of months in, I don't know, Calgary, and then they have to go back. How do you think this new center, this new program will be different from the already in place rural stream in Grande Prairie and in Lethbridge that has already difficulties to fulfill all their spots for residencies?
Well, thank you for those questions. It's a great set of questions, and I'm going to actually ask the expert to weigh in and provide that information. Dr. Brenda?
Thank you, Minister Sawhney. I think one of the unique features about this program, both at the University of Lethbridge and Northwestern Polytechnic in Grande Prairie, is that the entire undergraduate medical education program can be delivered in these centres. So the students won't have to go back and forth to Edmonton or to Calgary. They may go for some electives or from some specialized types of training, but the important point is that the 4 years of the medical training will take place in Grande Prairie with the University of Alberta, and the 3 years of the University of Calgary program will take place here in Lethbridge. The students then, a number of them will stay on to do their residency programs in those communities as well, and in particular in family medicine, and that's the area of focus that we will have is family medicine and other generalist specialties such as general surgery, general psychiatry, general pediatrics. So the emphasis, again, is going to be to do the entire training within the local centres. There'll be opportunities, if the students so desire, to do electives in other locations, and we'd encourage them to do that in other communities as well, other rural communities, because as we heard from MLA Mr. Long, the importance of training in those communities to stay and retain and practice in those communities as well. So thank you for that question.
Okay, I'm going to have a follow-up. Just right now, how many spots there is for residency in those two centers, Grande Prairie and Lethbridge? And if right now we have difficulties to fill up those spots, how do you think this new center will attract those people?
So the residency spots are not tied specifically to a center. They are open in a number of locations. And so the family medicine, for example, there's training spots in Grand Prairie as well as in Lethbridge and other rural communities. So they're not specifically tied to those locations. And we're very pleased this year, in fact, that the number of positions that were matched in the first round, again, this is just the first round, there's a second round to go, we're nearly all completely filled for the family medicine and other positions as well. And so, again, by having these training opportunities in rural and regional communities, we anticipate that those will be increased uptake in the future as well.
Thank you very much. Operator, please put through the next caller.
The next question is from Siobhan Skolsky, CTP. Please go ahead.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for taking my question. It's a follow-up from my colleagues at Radio Canada, and I apologize if I missed it, but can you confirm the number of residency seats that you will be increasing, what they are right now, and then confirm how many more will be added after this announcement?
Excellent.
I can answer that one as well. So the number of undergraduate medical education seats that were increased were 30 with the University of Alberta and 30 with the University of Calgary. And those are the intended number of seats that will be going into these regional training centres. So an additional 30 per year that were phased in. We welcomed our first additional 10 medical students last year. And this September we'll be welcoming the second 10, and the next year the additional 10 to make up the 30. For each of these one UME seats, there's 1.2 PGME seats. And so for the 30 UME seats in the north, there are 36 residency seats. For the 30 UME seats in the south, there are 36 residency seats for those as well. So those are the numbers. Thank you.
Shaylin, did you have a follow-up?
Okay, and yeah, just as a follow-up, I know in 2023, 42 residency spaces actually went unfilled in Alberta. Can you confirm if they were filled, we filled those seats this year, and what is being done to ensure those seats and the additional ones that we are adding each year are filled in the years to come?
So for the family medicine seats, there were a total of 12 that were unfilled this year, but that is the first round. There are 2 rounds to the matching process, and in a few weeks we will hear about the second round, and so we anticipate that the unfilled seats in family medicine will likely be filled, or the majority of them filled. Last year, you're correct, there was 21 unfilled that were filled over a phased approach after. So those were the number with respect to the positions. Does that answer your question?
I think so. So those 12 that are unfilled right now, they could still go on to be filled in the weeks to come. Is that essentially
correct?
Right?
Yeah, the second round of the match is in a couple of weeks. And this is a national match across the country, and so there may be other individuals from other provinces as well that would match to the unfilled positions here.
Thank you very much. Operator, please put through the next caller.
The next question is from Marc-Antoine Leblanc, Radio Canada. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my questions. My questions are more technical than anything, but like the first one is I just want to make sure the students are just going to treat patients to operate at the centers and not the hospitals.
Yeah, I think Dr. Brenda. Yeah, I'm going to call Dr. Brenda to answer the particular technical questions because they were part of a working group that actually put this proposal together. So please.
So if I understand the question correctly, you were asking if the training would take place in hospitals?
That's correct.
Yeah. So the training of our
no, in fact, pardon me. Pardon me. I was just wondering if they were going to treat patients just at the centers or at the hospitals as well.
Mm-hmm. So the training of medical students, the undergraduate component, includes both training in hospital-based settings, in acute care, as well as in community-based settings, in ambulatory care, in clinic settings. And what we're aiming to do is have them, in order to accommodate the students and give them a rich training experience, have them in the training centres in Grand Prairie and Lethbridge, as well as surrounding communities, such as Medicine Hat, our Indigenous communities. Again, there are many opportunities for training, not just within those regional centres, but in other communities more broadly.
Thank you very much.
And
Sorry, did you have a follow-up?
yeah, as a follow-up, pardon me. Could you just explain the differences between existing programs such as medical residency and this new program?
So the medical training takes place in two phases. The first component, to get the medical doctor degree, the undergraduate component, is what the medical degree is. And after they're finished that, it's a 4-year program at the University of Alberta, 3 years at the University of Calgary. After they've completed that undergraduate training, they then go on to do a residency. And they can do a family medicine residency, which is 2 years, or a specialty residency, which can be anywhere from 4 to 5 years. So those are the two components of the training program. And again, for the generalists for the family medicine, we'd anticipate that they would take place, the majority of these new seats, in Grand Prairie and surrounding communities, and Lethbridge and surrounding communities. But there may be opportunities in other locations as well for them to take their training. So the training is two components, undergraduate medical education and then the residency training after that.
Thank you very much. We will now conclude today's press conference.